Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. Now, I'm in a smooth program right now. Me and Easy were cellies. They have brought him from Atwater to be my cellie because there wasn't any other Asian Islanders in Lewisburg at the time. But after we were there for about 3-4 months, we heard that the homie Eddie Sua and Jimmy, Vietnamese homie Jimmy from Texas, was over there in Lewisburg, but they were over there in C Block. And we put in a cop-out and a request to get moved to their block, and they put in a request or whatever to get moved to our block, because there's 6 people to a rec cage. We wreck with Mexicans or natives or blacks or whoever they want to put us in there with. That's who we wreck with, but mostly we're just wrecking with Mexicans. And we're trying to get our own rec cage. But the administration, they didn't want us to have our own rec cage because they were kind of hesitant because of our track record, of our jacket. Like, as far as me, I have assault on staff. And Easy, that they just brought over to be my cellie, he just beat up a CO in Atwater. That's why he's there in Lewisburg. And as far as Eddie Sua go, he's got a lot of stuff on his jacket that maybe him himself wasn't, like, maybe he didn't directly do something himself, but they know he's got a lot of influence around the homies and stuff. And he's got priors where dudes will volunteer to go on missions and stuff for him. So for months, for almost a month, we try to get just in the same block, even if not the same rec cage. And me and Easy, it would have been easier for them just to move me and Easy to C block. But instead, they moved Eddie to our block and they put him in the cell next to us. But when we wreck, they had him wrecking with some other dudes, some other Mexicans, while we wreck with some other Mexicans. So every time we go out to wreck, we're just able to talk to each other through the cage. And the reason that Eddie was over there, come to find out once, we got in the wreck cage together for him to share, his story. I'm not sure if he was in Lee County or Pollock. I forget, because Eddie gets moved around a lot. I think the longest penitentiary he's ever been in was in Atwater. He was over there for a little bit over 2 years. But outside of that, he's been a journeyman, per se. He ended up coming back to Atwater because after Pollock, or wherever he left after Pollock, they ran out of prisons for him to go to because, he's got a lot of victims in the system. A lot of people are scared of him. When they hear his name, they run up to when they hear his name or see his name on the bus list or whatever, these busters, they run up to SIS and try to keep him coming on the yard because, one, they probably owe him money, and 2, if they don't, they're probably busters, and they're afraid that he's gonna end up extorting them. I met a lot of people that's met the homie Eddie Sua before I met him, and there's only 2 things I ever hear from him: either they're running terrified of him, or they love him. There's no in between because, he's the kind of dude, if you show that you're not deserving of his respect, well, he's going to put his foot on you. But if he come to love you and respect you, he's going to give his shirt off his back for you. And I finally got an opportunity to meet him when we was in Atwater, and we kicked it there for a couple of years and got to know each other. And, when I came home and I spoke with him about a few things, we're not friends, we're not homies. We got to the point in our relationship where We're brothers. You know, I know that he's a lifelong friend, or he's my brother, and whatever situation I get into out here, I know if I ever need any help with anything, he's just a phone call away, and vice versa. And these are the relationships that I built throughout the course of my time with these men that are gonna last a lifetime, because we got to the point where we have a mutual understanding and a mutual respect for each other. So I think Eddie, no, he was in Coleman. Before he came after he left Lee County, he went to Coleman. And in Coleman, you know, Eddie, he's always hustling. He's always making moves and doing different things. So when you're moving in a penitentiary, you're always gonna have busters that's gonna hate on you. And not only that, you got the staff, the administration that's trying to catch up to you, that's trying to knock you. So, well, he told me how he ended up in the shoe. You know, they ran on him on a couple times. They ran up on in his cell a couple times trying to catch him slipping, but they never did. Because, you know, I mean, if you're hustling and stuff, it's like playing cat and mouse, but advanced chess. Especially in an environment that you're in, because you have no keys to lock your door. The administration, the SIS, the COs, the compound COs, the unit COs, they can go in your cell anytime you want and search you anytime they want. When you're walking down the hallway, down the walk, on a yard, they can come pull up on you and take you back and strip you out, butt naked, have you strip out, bend over, cough for them, lift up your nutsack for them. There's no place to go. And there's no amount of resistance that you can put forth to keep them from coming in and invading your space. So if you're hustling in there, you're aware of that, and you always got to stay 3-4 steps ahead of the game. And, you know, for him, personally, he's never been caught with anything. But the administration would get tired of hearing his name, that he's doing this or doing that, and they would just lock him up under investigation, and then not wanting to deal with him, ship him out to another compound. So in this particular time, you know, I've shared stories with you guys about that K2 or that Deuce or that Tucci, whatever name you want to call it, but it's that spice that was out here, that was legalized out here, or was legal out here a few years back, but now it's almost obsolete. But people here and there find it, and they find a way to get it in there. So I guess whatever he had was some crazy ass psychedelic shit that motherfucker was wigging out on. But you know, the more somebody wigs out on something, the more crazier the high or whatever, the more people want it. You know, in there, I know some of you guys might not understand, like, why the hell would you guys want to smoke that shit? Well, for me personally, because I partake, I'm trying to do everything I can to escape the time that I got. Every minute that I can get the fuck away from my surroundings, I'm going. You know? But a lot of people can't keep up with their habits and they get in trouble and stuff over it. Like for me, I've always paid all my bills and stuff, but you know, there was a time where it was kind of rough on my family and my friends out here. And so that's one of the things that I do regret and wish that I had conduct myself a little bit better on it. But going back to Eddie, you know, he been hearing about the effect that this stuff, because he doesn't smoke that shit, he smokes the weed. But, you know, when you're locked down or whatever, and the shit is there, and you're just like, whatever, let's just try it. But he knows that this stuff hits you fast and that it's crazy. So his plan was, all right, it's count time. I'm just going to smoke this little piece, climb up on my bed, and wait till count is clear. So the story goes, he's telling me he hits the little piece, and he can already feel the effect, and he knows it's about to hit him. So he ran up to his bunk. He slept on the top bunk. And in the process of trying to get onto the top bunk, he got stuck. So he was just on his bunk, trying to climb on his bunk, frozen. When the CEO came by to do count, he was just, frozen in the process of trying to climb out his bunk. And of course, the CEO, as coward, looks in the window and see that, something's wrong. So they end up locking him up in the shoe and putting him under investigation, because they already suspected that he had a hand in all, in the stuff that was going on in the penitentiary and all that stuff. Well, while he was in the shoe, a lot of people owe him money on the compound. And this particular dude is a Crip dude. He had sent Eddie had sent a kite out, say, hey man, this is what it is. I might get transferred. What's up with the money? Cause he was in the shoe for about 4, 5, 6 months before he ended up getting shipped out to go to the Smooth. Cause at the same time, they also thought that he had a cell phone. So they kept coming in every week while he was in the shoe, taking him out, strip searching him, x-raying him, or whatever, trying to find his cell phone that they supposed to have had on the compound. Well, going back to this Crip dude, the Crip dude sends back a kite and said, hey, I sent your wife that money. All right? Of course, Eddie's going to call his wife and find out if it's yay or nay. But when he sent the kite out, or when he contacted his wife, she never got the money. One thing in the penitentiary, one thing out here in the world, you can't really play. You just can't. You can't play with people's money. Because if somebody allows you to play with their money, then they're never ever going to be able to conduct any type of commerce inside or outside, because people know they ain't got to pay you. If they don't pay you, ain't nothing going to happen to them. So why the fuck they going to pay you? So a lot of things that happen in the penitentiary where people get butchered, get stomped out, is over bills and debt and deals that went bad. Outside of that, it's just motherfuckers not knowing how to act and being disrespectful or being drunk or whatever. But most of the time, it's business. It's just like, things out here. So Eddie sends the kite back out and asks him, hey, homie, I never got that. But dude's just like, oh yeah, I sent it, and brushed it off. But me, when I deal with people, I have my wife out here. If my wife tells me that the moon is made out of cheese, the moon's made out of cheese. Because if it's not, she wouldn't tell me it was made out of cheese. Because for me to be successful, or to keep myself from getting butchered and killed in there when I'm dealing in this aspect of the hustle, I have to have somebody that I can rely on, somebody that I can take their word for it. And just like the previous story that I told you on the previous episode, is that people get serious about their shit. They know what they're doing. They have people that they rely on, that their people, if their people tell them that they did something that is done, and you on the other end saying, oh, I never got it, I never, I don't know anything about it, I ain't heard anything. One, even if it's true, just like the story I shared with you, they're gonna look at you sideways like you're trying to play them. And when it gets into that realm, people get in their feelings real fast because, you know, that, I don't know the word for it, but it's almost like a complex, like, oh, you trying to play me, you trying to punk me? No, I'm gonna make an example out of you type of mentality. So Eddie never got it. The Crip dude never sent it. He never sent it, but he figured that Eddie's in the shoe. He's under investigation. He's gonna get shipped out and might never see this motherfucker again. So fuck it, you know, because it was a substantial amount. But in the penitentiary, we all have alliances. We're all friends that even though there's certain things that we aren't able to physically do ourselves, there's always somebody in the wing waiting to prove themselves to you or wanting to do you a favor or just out of love wanting to make things right for you. So while he was in the shoe, there was this young Guamanian dude that just came. He told me his name, but I forgot. But he was a youngster, but wild. And he was in his shoe. But he was just in there maybe for some knives or something. He was coming back on the compound. So he had told Eddie, he said, hey man, I'll take care of that for you as soon as I get out. Now, you know, people, when you first meet somebody, you're going to get a lot of them that's going to say that they're going to do this or do that or act like they're about something that they might not be about. So Eddie told me he took it with a grain of salt. He said, all right, you sure? He said, yeah. So Eddie sent out a kite. He sent out a kite to some people out there to have the things that this kid needs when he comes out of the shoe. So when the kid comes out of the shoe, he meets with the people that Eddie sent him to. They gave him a knife. And the kid took it and went about his business. Well, maybe it was the same day or the next day, but it was real quick. The kid was in the hallway at medical. The Crip dude was over there at medical or in the hallway. And I think maybe the youngster was stalking him and followed him over there. And, you know, this, I heard from other Crips, from other dudes that were over there that knew, because, you know, anything that happens with any of the Asians or Islanders, when they run into me, they let me know what's going on, what happened or whatever. So he said the kid was in the hallway and the Crip dude was in the hallway. I don't know exactly what the Crip dude was doing, but he was standing there. But they said that youngster was pacing back and forth, you know, kind of like me mugging the Crip dude. So the Crip dude looked at him and was like, man, what's up? And the youngster was like, man, you's a punk ass bitch. You know, when you say bitch, punk, lame, rat, you know, when those words come out of your mouth, there's no taking those things back. When somebody calls you a bitch in the penitentiary, they're telling you they're trying to see you. They don't got no respect for you. Yeah, you's a bitch. What you trying to do? So when you hear somebody say that to you or say that, they're saying it for a specific reason. They don't want no takebacks. They don't want to be able to mediate the situation or be able to apologize for it. Because if somebody called me a bitch, what amount of sorry can he say? Obviously, that's what he think, because if he didn't think it, it wouldn't have been in his mouth. So if somebody thinks this way of you already or feels this way about you, and he verbally expressed it in front of other people, I can't walk away from that. If I walk away from that, all the witnesses that heard him verbally abuse me in that way only has one choice to think about me, that I must be a bitch, because I just let this dude call me a bitch. But anyway, before the Crip dude got a chance to react, the youngster hit him. And when I was in Florence right now, or not right now, but when I was in Florence before I came home, you know, there's a couple Crip dudes that told me about it. I was like, yeah, man, that dude got butchered. That youngster butchered him. And you might think like, oh, would that cause a racial war or a gang conflict or whatever because it was two different races? It can, but at the same time, we're all men. Before we, you know, things that happen when the yard blow up, most time it's spare of the moment. It's just somebody saw something and reacted, and somebody saw something else and reacted and reacted. Nobody know what the cause is. So they're just reacting according to their alliance. But if you get a chance to sit down, men being men is going to figure out what's right and what's wrong, who was in the right and who was in the wrong. And everybody expects you to handle your business. You know, we have the politics where, yeah, you have an issue with somebody or whatever, you got to go through the chain of command to get permission to put hands on this dude or to punish this dude or give their people an opportunity to punish this dude. Yeah, all those things happen. But when it comes to disrespect, you know, I tell all my homies when they come off the bus, I don't want to hear you coming to tell me somebody disrespected you. Because if he disrespected you, if he really disrespected you, then his jaw should be on the side of his face. And if it's not, then all you're doing when you come crying to me, telling me, oh, so-and-so disrespected me, the way I'm going to look at you is like, well, you must be a bitch because his jaw ain't broke. You know, when it comes to disrespect, you got to handle it right there and then the homies catch whatever's coming. If the people, especially if you're in the right, handle your business. And if the other people have an issue with you handling your business, then we figure that out later. But you coming and crying to somebody about being disrespected, that's just telling me he's a bitch. So, for lack of a better term. But, you know, with Eddie, he's got a lot of respect from everybody. Don't matter if you're white, Mexican, Crips, Bloods, GD, Vice Lord. Every penitentiary he goes to, DC's, he's good friends with everybody, anybody that matters. And they have a lot of respect for him. Not just because he's 6 foot something and yoked up, but because the way he conduct himself. You know, when he make deals with you or whatever, he's gonna do his part. Unless you're a bitch, then he's just gonna take your shit. But if he's dealing with men, we're all on men time, and we all understand that certain actions are acceptable and certain actions are not. So all the people that relate the story to me, everything that came out of their mouth was like, damn, dude shouldn't have played with homie's money. Eddie's a good dude. Man, you know you can't play with people's money and lying about saying he sent it to his wife and this and that. So nothing came about. There was no repercussion. There was no reaction there was no war that jumped off between the Crips and the Asians and the Islanders over that incident. Because everybody that's anybody understood that they had to be handled. They could have said, oh, how come you didn't come to us so we can handle it? Well, if I have an issue with somebody that's from another car, that's from another race, but it's an issue that can't be mediated. It's an issue that I know I have to punish this dude. There's no other options. So for me, I'm just going to get right to it. Because now, if I know I got to punish this dude, because of whatever transpired, that I have no other choices but to do what I got to do. If I go tell him I have an issue with him, or that's just giving him a heads up. If I go tell his people that I have an issue with him, or, you know, cry about the situation, their people is going to give him a heads up. Now, I don't have the advantage of being on my side anymore, the element of surprise anymore. Because, prime example, if somebody comes to me and tell me they got an issue with my homie did this, my homie did that, and he trying to see the homie, or have me punish the homie, well, I'm going to evaluate the situation, and I'm going to see, you know, what needs to be dealt, how it needs to be handled. But no question, I'm going to go let the homie know, hey, homie, this dude over there's got an issue with you, and it looked like he's trying to bring you a move. So what are you going to do? He has two choices. He either go punish this dude, or we end up punishing him. And me, if given a choice, if I got to punish somebody, or I'm going to get punished by my homie, you know, I'm going to go punish this dude and still be in good standing instead. Because once you get punished by your homie, then word gets out that you're X'd out of the community. You know, but at the end of the day, like I said, nothing came of it. Everybody respected it because they knew that shit had to be done. When you play with people's money, there's nobody, not your mom, not your dad, can come and intervene. That's your money. Welcome to the USP.